Let's talk about France. France in this Euros, they're struggling at the moment, aren't they? They've scraped past Belgium in their last game. It took a deflected goal to scrape past them because, let's not forget, Jeremy Doku feeded his teammate Kevin De Bruyne through for a one-on-one chance, and you put your house on De Bruyne to score that. And it's funny because as an England fan, you get such a whirlwind of what Gareth Southgate isn't doing for us, how we're completely wasting a brilliant crop of players. But because I'm not French and none of the people I know are French, we never think about Didier Deschamps. We never think about how the French are doing, because I would have loved to win just a tournament in my lifetime, and the French did that in 2018. They won the World Cup, and even despite having a bit of a mixed group stage, they went on and found the form throughout it, and then just dominated the late stages of that tournament. However, I do look at it, despite France getting to the last stages of most of the tournaments within the last, 8 years, they have only won one, and I know that sounds ridiculous saying that'll be classed as a failure for Deschamps and the side. However, frankly, if you are looking at the talent pool around the French at this time, this was their second golden generation from the one in the 90s, wasn't it? They had Thierry Henry, Trezeguet, they had a brilliant squad back then. However, now it is a new generation of the golden generation. We love to throw that word about, but we've got Kylian Mbappe, maybe the best player in the world. We've got Antoine Griezmann, maybe one of the best centre-mids in the world. We've got William Saliba recently, maybe the most informed defender coming into the tournament. And if you're French, correct me if I'm wrong to call me if I'm ridiculous, but one tournament win out of 5 with, in my opinion, the competition has been at an all-time low. England have recently got could you call it a world-class squad? I think potentially. But the rest of the teams, until this tournament with Portugal and Spain were on really no one's radar. They had Pedri, they had Gavi, they had a few new promising players coming through. However, they really weren't on many people's, favourites list. And the Italians, they came as a bit of a surprise in the Euros, and we've seen them since. They didn't even qualify for the 2022 World Cup, and they were terrible in this Euro. The Dutch, of course, are having a massive lull. They're playing fairly well in this tournament, but still the quality of the squad just isn't what it used to be in the 2000s. And then the Germans and the Portuguese. The Portuguese are always good, but the Germans have had a bit of a drop since the 2014 World Cup. And it's tough because we don't have the French media in England, obviously. So we can't see if the press are calling for Mbappe's head or if they're calling for Deschamps' head. And while I've actually listened on the subject, in the 90s, Aimé Jacquet, the manager who won at the 98 World Cup for France, he criticised L'Équipe, the biggest newspaper, I believe, in France in terms of sport, and they were criticising it, and then he won it. And then, in fact, he came out and said he will never speak to the newspaper ever again, which I believe has been a tough one for the press because they don't want to commit, as the English media do with Gareth Southgate, too early because they might be made to look like fools. And I know there are some factors with the French in this Euros. I don't believe they have a great attacking threat. Mbappe is obviously world class. However, Marcus Thuram may be their second best player, Kolo Muani, Moussama Dembele from PSG. They're all not the world-class players that you might have had with a Benzema or a Griezmann in the 2016 Euro. And I believe at the moment Mbappe is actually having contract disputes with PSG before he goes to Real Madrid, because I don't think they've paid him for about 2 months. With most players that might be $1 million or $2 million. With Mbappe, that's about 20-30 million including bonuses. So that's surely weighing on his head. I know it's tough him breaking his nose in the first game against Austria. It's always going to be tough playing with a mask on your face. I've listened to so many athletes saying it restricts your breathing. It just makes it quite uncomfortable. But regardless of that, the French do play some sort of defensive football like England. I don't want to just completely bring England into this, but this is our criticism with Gareth Southgate. He just always plays defensive. He's never proactive. He's always reactive. And I think that is partly what we see from Deschamps, because he plays a bit of a cautious style of football. With the players that he has, regardless if they're world class up front, there's so much speed in that attack. I would love to have some pace of Marcus Thuram or Theo Hernandez going down the wing. And the fact that they haven't even scored a goal from open play, I believe in the group stage it was just under about 6 XG, which they completely underscored. And you could see Austria dominated them in their game and they just scraped 1-0. Xavi Simons, you could argue if his goal was rightly or wrongly disallowed, but again, they scraped through a 0-0 with that, and then they drew with Poland, so not even coming top of the group. Not an easy group, but a group they should definitely be topping, at least. And it doesn't seem like there are many bad eggs, there's many dressing room cancers at the moment in the squad. However, it normally does come out after the tournament. I know Antoine Griezmann getting benched against Poland was a huge turning point because I don't believe he's been benched since 2016 in a tournament game. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think ones that actually mattered. But I do think it just posed the question, are they going to waste if, say, they get beat by Portugal in the next game? Are they going to waste their new golden generation? Do I think so? I think if you win a World Cup, you've made it for the next 30, 40 years, 60 in our case. But I do think the French will come away, say at the next World Cup, it'll be 10 years since the Euros, and if they can't win the one in America, then really one trophy out of 6 tournaments. In my opinion, for that squad and the competition pool, I don't think it is great. I think they should have at least had a Euros under the belt, which they still definitely could win. They're probably still favourites at the moment. But, I'd just be interested to hear what the French fans think, really, because, I don't know, but surely it's not going well, because if we're fuming at Gareth Southgate, who, in my opinion, the French have a lot better squad than us, and we topped our group, and we're through to the quarterfinals, not comfortably, but we're through, then God knows what you France fans are thinking. It's great to see N'Golo Kante maybe near back at his best just for this tournament because he's in the Saudi League. We don't see him anymore. So it's cool to see him playing really well. And I think it'll be a fun one to watch. William Saliba, I think he's going to completely outclass a aging Ronaldo. So that'll be fun to see. I think they will probably beat the Portuguese, unless maybe if Diogo Jota plays, because I think he's a bit of an X factor. However, I still do think the French will get to definitely the semi-final, and then the Spanish look fairly decent, as do the Germans, so who knows. But if you want to leave a comment on this video and let me know what you think about France in this tournament, I'm not saying they've wasted it completely, I'm just saying I think there was more opportunities to win an extra tournament or so. But let me know what you think. If you could leave a like on the video, that'd be great, and if you could subscribe to the channel, that'd be fantastic. But thanks for watching.